You may be going through a rough time, and people may be telling you, "Don't be sad." Well, that's not necessarily accurate.
Exactly.
We are spiritual beings living in physical bodies for the purpose of having the human experience. Well, being sad, going through difficult things, that is part of the human experience. But what we need to do in order to be the best functioning versions of ourselves possible is to allow those feelings to flow in, feel them, and flow out.
Hey, you! You're tuned in to the Skirts Up Show with Samantha and Melissa.
Join our mission to normalize failure, but still uncover the positives at every twist and turn.
Skirts up, but keep your panties on. Welcome back, Skirts Up Squad. It's Samantha
and Melissa.
Hope you missed us.
I mean, of course they did. We missed them.
Today, we want to tell you the story of how we ended up in Nashville.
Why don't you start?
Okay. You guys know I'm driving again. So I'm like, we're going to take my car and I'm driving and I'm doing great through the mountains. It was so much fun. And, listening to my music that I don't get to listen at home because of small ears.
She realized that she was singing a song for her when she was like 13 that had really bad lyrics.
You guys know that I really, really love my Latin music. And a song came on and I was like, oh, that song, I remember I got in trouble for singing it. It's a Spanish song and I'm singing Spanish words. And I remember my mom's friend looked at my mom and said, "You let them say that?" And we were like, uh-oh, I don't even know what I'm saying. And to this day, I didn't know what I was saying. But we went and deciphered that song and oh my goodness, the things we were saying.
It was fun looking that up on the way here. But yeah, you were doing a great job on your drive.
I was doing a great job. And I'm very, very sorry to my mother and anyone around who heard me say very obscene things in Spanish. What happened during our drive?
It started raining really bad. Well, first it started getting dark. And poor Sam, she's like, oh no, I'm not the best at seeing in the dark, but I'm doing good. And you did. You were fine.
Oh yeah, I just got closer like a grandma and turned the music down so I could see better.
And then started pouring. And
Game
so
over.
Yeah. So she what do I do? What do I do? I was like, just pull over right here. And so she a little further, get a little more off the road. And then we switched places and I thought things were great until I missed our exit. And then
just barely missed all the pedestrians. It was like bowling pins. I'm just kidding. It wasn't that bad. She was safe. We
were safe, but there was one point when I was so worried about the pedestrians that I didn't turn, and then I was stuck in the middle of the intersection after the light turned red.
And we were staring at the pedestrians like, do you go? Do we go? Who's going? One of us has to.
Yeah, and it was kind of obvious. They definitely did not have the walk sign, and I was supposed to go, but I didn't want to hurt anybody.
Well, we made it. We're here.
We're here.
We are in a hotel called Windsor Boutique.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. They've given us a tour. They've told us the history behind it. They have renovations coming that I'm excited to see those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely it's been amazing here.
Everyone's so kind, and there's not a single thing that can make this trip better.
No, except for what brought us here.
That is correct.
Wait. Who brought us here? And I'm referring to our guest today. Her name is Kelly, and
we're going to turn it over to her.
You just turn it over?
Yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I am Kelly Palmatier. I'm a full-time professional psychic medium based here in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina.
What a better place to be.
Right.
Or what not a better... No, there's no better place to be.
No better place to be. Yeah. And I wasn't going to say this until later in the episode.
I wondered if you were going to break your rules.
Breaking my rules. You had mentioned, Kelly, in our little interview before we set this up, that Asheville is known for a vortex that draws psychic mediums to this area.
Right. So there is the the legend of the Asheville vortex. So vortex is considered to be where there's an uprush, an uprising of energy.
Okay.
And the most famous one that a lot of people are aware of would be Sedona, Arizona. Sedona, Arizona is known as having an energy vortex there, but Asheville is actually known as the vortex city of the East.
Okay.
And that is thought to be because of a few different factors. Certainly the beautiful natural world here. We've got the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's just stunningly beautiful. We've got a lot of granite and quartz, allegedly. And so that's supposed to be very good for the energy as well.
Oh,
And then you get this cool little funky progressive hippie town
totally.
nestled in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains, and it draws all kinds of people. But certainly there's a very strong artist community here, people who are tuned in to the energy. So you get a lot of natural healers. There's a huge array of different holistic and alternative healers and healthcare providers.
Mhm.
And then, of course, people who do readings like myself. There are not a ton of mediums, just a handful of us. There certainly are quite a few psychics. And then there are tons of people who are tuned into the energy in one form or another.
Nice.
We definitely want to dig into that.
Yeah. And so I kind of want to say, just to clarify, you're a psychic medium.
Yes.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
In my mind, it makes sense that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums.
That is exactly correct.
Okay.
I tell people that all the time.
You do not.
I do. Yeah. And so a psychic just means that I pick up on information outside of the 5 physical senses.
Okay.
Whereas medium means I can use those skills to connect with loved ones who've crossed over. So that's why it makes sense that every medium is a psychic. But not every psychic is a medium.
Okay. When you say those skills, you mean like the 5 senses?
Yes. So, of course, most people are familiar with the 5 physical senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling.
Okay.
There are psychic equivalents to each of those. So, for example, in my case, I am an empath, so I do feel the emotions of others.
Okay.
I'm clairvoyant, so I psychically see images. Clairaudient, so I hear messages. Clairalient, so I get psychic smells. Clairsentient, so I physically feel the energy. And also claircognizant, so sometimes I just know things.
Well, I mean, earlier she said there's an actual word for each of the senses that have. Okay. So, and then earlier in our reading, if I might just point out, you had mentioned, I'm feeling things in my throat. I'm getting a taste.
The fuzzy tongue.
And
You were
so
literally feeling like a fuzzy tongue. Like
That's what it was.
It's funny that you should bring that up, because I was just about to point out that of all the 5 physical senses, I did not mention the one called clairgustance, which is psychic taste.
Really?
Because I don't associate myself as having clairgustance.
Okay.
But now that you mention it, I did in our reading talk about that I was getting a sort of a fuzzy taste in my mouth, and which to me correlates. It's a symbol for someone who smokes or drinks a lot of coffee or both. But you're right, that technically is a taste. So I guess I have it all. You heard it here first.
Maybe we had something to do with it.
Sam, she's gonna take all the
pointed it
credit.
out,
There
so
you go.
absolutely.
There you go.
Yes.
We're gonna. I'll be there with you. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Thank you.
And I
Maybe
do.
that's just like because. Sorry. Do you care if I ask? So we're talking about types of intuition, and I know Sam had mentioned that you teach people how to become in tune.
Yeah, so I
things.
don't have
Did you
courses
wanna-
that I'm offering right now, but I certainly have taught courses in the past. For example, I did a psychic protection course at the Oregon Ghost Conference not too long ago.
That sounds amazing.
It was pretty good, yeah.
Okay.
And then coming up in September, I'm teaching a class called The Secret Language of Mediums, and that's going to be in Sedona at the Sedona Transcendence Retreat in September. So I do teach a few courses here and there, but what I do a lot of is one of my main level services is I actually offer psychic development mentorship.
Okay.
And so that's more of a one-on-one service where people sign up, they set an appointment with me,
Okay.
and then we sit down and we talk about them and what their experiences have been and what their goals are and how they want to develop psychically. For some people, they just want to control the skills that they already have. Other people may want to start a whole business, and I can guide them through any aspect of that.
So if someone came to you and said, I feel intuitive, like I feel like my paternal grandmother is speaking to us right now. But I don't know what to do with that. And I don't know what is supposed to be coming of that for me. Like, can you help guide me into what I'm feeling and what I'm...
I like that.
Yeah. So typically when I'm guiding people through psychic development mentorship sessions, we'll talk about things like we'll start off with the basics. I like to make sure that everybody knows how to do your basic grounding. You want to be well grounded.
Okay.
I want to make sure that they have good psychic protection in place. And then also that they know how to do clearing and cleansing. So those are all sort of your basics to make sure that any development that you're doing it safely. So typically that's where we'll start. And then we'll move into more tricks and techniques for developing your skills further.
Okay.
But I like to make sure that we start with the basics because you'd be surprised. A lot of people just jump in and say, hey, I want to be psychic or I want to strengthen my psychic skills. And they'll start like reaching out to the universe and asking for spirits to come in. Maybe they're playing with the Ouija board or whatever. What's happening is it's like they're lighting up this beacon and saying, come here. And yet they're getting all kinds of freaks and weirdos coming in because they haven't set up their boundaries.
Oh, so it's true what people say. Don't mess with the Ouija board.
It is absolutely true. Don't mess with the Ouija board.
Wow, my mom always
Interesting.
told me that, and I thought
it's
she was
not
silly.
because the Ouija board itself is a problem. It's not evil. But what happens is it's such a low barrier to entry game that you get people jumping in and trying to connect with spirits who have no business connecting with spirits.
Got it.
Because they don't understand how the energetic world works, how the spirit world works, and they don't have that layer of protection in place.
So when you say safely, what are they having to be safe from?
Well, energy can take all forms.
Okay.
When you think about electricity running through the walls, right? You can plug into that anything. Right? It doesn't have to be something that's a positive use. It could be something that's a negative use. A tool is a tool. You think about a hammer. You could use a hammer to build a house to give someone shelter. You could use a hammer to bash someone in the head.
Yeah.
A tool is a tool. So it's neither positive nor negative. Energy is the same way. Energy is inherently neutral. But the way people use it, the way entities use it, it can take all forms. So you don't want to just stick your finger into a socket. You don't want to stick a fork into a socket. You don't want to use electricity. You don't want to delve into the energetic world without knowing a little bit about what you're doing and how to be safe.
Okay.
That's so interesting. So I'm not going to say, so I am technically a Reiki level 2, but I'm not well practiced. So I just want you to, that disclaimer out there. But in Reiki, it's very interesting because it's very similar to what you did today, where you opened the door, you invited good things, and then when you closed it, you thanked everything.
Yes.
Like thanked all the spirits and thanked those who did show up. And I thought that was interesting. It's something I noticed that was similar.
Yes.
And it seemed like a form of protection.
It
opening
is.
and closing.
It
Gratitude.
absolutely is. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to back up a little bit. I wanted to know when you started noticing that you have these intuitive, psychic, medium gifts and how it progressed into a career for you.
Right. So, I would say that everybody has some level of psychic ability. It's like intuition. We
Okay.
all have it. And it's just a matter of some people have a stronger natural sense than others. And then some people actively work at developing it. So growing up, I definitely did notice little psychic things happen to me here and there. And then I actively worked at developing it, especially through my teen years, high school, and college. I was very strong in developing it then.
Would you be willing to share maybe your first memory that you realized
Sure.
this is a psychic?
Yes. Yeah, there's one story in particular. I was pretty young, maybe about 6 years old.
Okay.
And I was with my sister, Lee, my older sister. She's about 4.5 years older. And she was doing a card trick.
Okay.
All right. Pick a card, any card, and I'll tell you what you picked. So, okay, I picked a card. And then she makes a great show of concentrating hard before she proclaims the card that I picked. And I, of course, was amazed. I looked up to my sister. I worshiped her. And I was like, wow, that's so great. Let me try. Let me try. And so she gave me the card deck, and I tried the trick with her, and her face, her jaw just dropped when I said 4 of hearts. And that's when suddenly I knew that I had spontaneously read her mind.
Wow.
Whereas what she had done was a
Was a
calculated
magic.
card trick.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah, that's so And then you said you were fine-tuning it through your high school years.
Yeah. So all throughout high school and college, I really worked at developing it further. I was definitely very interested in this. So I would read books. I would try experiments. I remember in high school, this was long before caller ID. And I would answer the phone greeting my friends by name.
Wow.
Hi, Leslie. Hi, Jean. Hi, Mitchell.
Wow.
What?
That is on another level of attunement.
It was fun. And, as a teenager, all my friends thought it was cool. And as a teenager, everybody wants to be cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I loved it.
Okay.
And then in college, I ended up studying abroad for a year. I went to University of Kent at Canterbury in England.
Oh.
Yeah. And one of the courses that I took there was the self, issues in philosophy, religion, and parapsychology. So I did get to study a little bit of parapsychology in England.
Okay.
And that was with Professor Chris Cherry. And he and I developed a friendship. And so he also hooked me up with different parapsychology experiments that were going on here and there around town. And he and I would practice mind reading, sending images back and forth to each other. So, yeah, that was really interesting. A lot of fun.
What was going on around town? Like, what are these experiments?
Well,
in
one
Kent?
of them is, I think it's called the Gansfeld, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Where they put something that resembles ping pong balls like over your eyes and headphones over your ears. So you have basically sensory deprivation.
Right.
And then you see about receiving images.
Oh.
So that's one thing. There was this other thing that went on in town, in the town of Canterbury, and it was an experiment where somebody was doing this scientific research measuring the weight loss in a table when the people were doing table tilting and table levitating. So that was pretty crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It brings me back a couple episodes. It brings me back an episode to where I don't know if you've heard our episodes, but we did one on lucid dreaming, and she is studying lucid dreaming, and they are working on being able to visit each other in their dreams intentionally and pass a message. And they're working on trying to receive that message when they wake up. And it just kind of made me think of like, I don't know.
That's an intuition, and that's a...
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, lucid dreaming, or what you're describing there of like going places in your dreams, that's very similar to astral travel.
That's
And
what
I
we
talked
hear.
about
I
that.
actually did write a little mini dissertation on astral travel
Is it available
when I
for
was
someone
at
to read?
UKC. It is not.
Oh.
No,
Oh.
it's not. And I don't know if I'm proud enough of that I would
Oh.
publish it, 30 years later or whenever.
Fair.
But definitely that was a subject that I did a bit of study on when I
So
was
you've
there.
done it?
Interesting.
Yes, I have.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. And I've done it in a way that it was evidential, where I was able to to say what I had seen when I was there. So, for example, there was a situation, well, the first time I ever did it, where I knew that I did it, is when I was in England. I went and visited some friends on campus.
Okay.
And then after I woke up and completed my journey, then I went and spoke to them and I said, hey, I just had this experience and I came to see you. And the two of you, these two, and I named them off, you were talking about this film. And they're like, yes, you're right.
Wow.
That is so fun.
Yeah.
I can't,
Validating.
right? I can't imagine. That would be so fun. I just want to experience stuff like that.
There was another time where this was after I was back in the States. My best friend, Leslie, was in New York, and she was visiting her grandmother. Her grandmother had been ill, and her grandmother ended up suddenly passing away while Leslie was there. And Leslie had no other family with her to support her. And we were both around in our like maybe 20 years old or very early 20s. And so she called me up. She was very distraught. She was like, and I'm all alone. I'm all alone. I'm all alone. I said, okay, Leslie, I want you to hang up the phone and go sit quietly. And I'm going to astral travel to be with you.
Wow.
And she said, okay, I'm going to do that. So we hung up the phone and then she went and sat quietly. I lay down and I sent my energy to be with her. And afterwards, she called me up. She's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I felt your energy.
Yeah.
It just all of a sudden, this sense of calm and love came over me.
Oh,
She still tells that story today.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
It is
Yeah.
beautiful. That's a true friend. I'm just going to give you my energy. I'm going to hug you.
Yeah. From a distance, you can do it.
Oh,
That's amazing.
this is what I want to experience. Stuff like this.
So, what would you say to somebody who thinks? So, I've come across people in my life who feel like they just don't have any intuition, or they're just like, I don't know, I'm not spiritual, or I can't tap into that stuff, but I wish I could.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a tip or?
Sure. There is a book called Blink.
Okay.
And I wish I could say the author's name. That would be really nice, wouldn't it?
I can look it up.
Thank you. And basically the premise of the book, it's based in science.
Okay.
And it is about the fact that the subconscious mind perceives things before the conscious mind.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yes. Interesting. Okay.
So that is scientifically proven that the subconscious mind picks things up first in many, many instances. Sure, it's not the same thing as outright psychic, but it definitely gives the foundation.
Okay.
there. And then, not everybody needs to rely on intuition. It's okay. If that's not your thing, that's not your thing.
Okay. I actually really like that you said that we all have different things and different talents.
Mhm.
And that's why we work together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. You said when you were in Canterbury, you made friends with the professor
Mhm.
and he put you in touch. Is that kind of when you decided, hey, this could be my life path?
Not exactly.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
So also while I was there, I'd met Jo Wynne. She is a psychic in Sussex, England, and she and I became very close friends. I went to stay with her in Sussex for a while, and she became my mentor.
Okay.
So she's actually the one who taught me how to do psychic readings initially. She taught me a lot of what I know about grounding and psychic protection and things like that. So she taught me a lot of the basics, and she and I are still friends to this day.
Oh.
We've done Zoom calls just to keep in touch over the years. So I learned a lot from her, and after that point, I was able to do readings for people, and I did readings off and on for 30-something years before I finally decided to make this my career.
Okay.
But what happened was when I was very strong into psychic energy after I graduated from college, the options at that time were pretty limited because we did not have the internet as we know it back then. That's how long I've been involved in this.
Okay.
And so at the time, to be a professional psychic meant you needed to have a house on the side of a highway with a neon sign in the window.
I mean,
and that really was not for me.
Yeah.
I just knew that wasn't for me. So I went on and did other work in the corporate world. I actually worked for Delta Airlines. I started out as a flight attendant.
Okay.
International flights, French interpreter, moved on to the general office management, corporate communications. I built the first intranet website for the in-flight service department.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then from there, I learned web design. As I said, I built their intranet website. And once I had learned that, then I ended up going on and starting my own company in the year 2000, Griffin Web Design and Marketing, and helped run that for 20 years with my husband. He still runs the company today.
Okay. I was going to ask if maybe web design is how you guys met.
No, that's another story.
That's a whole other story.
Right?
Okay.
But yeah, so we actually ran that business together, and that was the year 2000. So that company has been in business for over 24 years now.
Wow. Okay.
But then I actually decided to take my psychic business professional in the year 2017. What happened was I got a direct message from Spirit telling me that I should learn to channel loved ones who've crossed over.
Can you expound on when you say the word spirit? It sounded like you meant one entity, but I don't think that's what you mean.
It's not. It's not. So I use the word spirit singular with a capital S as a reference to spiritual energy in general.
Okay. And that's a common...
It is fairly common.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
It makes me think of another episode, though, where we questioned when people have that like sense of, I heard this.
Deja vu?
Something told me to do this.
Oh.
We've talked to one person who says, that's God's voice. God is telling you, like, this is what you're going to do. This is what you need to do. And so you do it. And then we have her.
I said I feel like that's an intuitive feeling.
It's your intuitive mind telling you, do this, stop what you're doing.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's please.
Your intuitive mind, some people might refer to that as being your higher self.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Your higher self
that is what I was kind
the
of
part
saying.
of you that is based in the energetic realm.
Okay.
Right? When I refer to spirit in general, that is referring to the energetic realm.
Okay.
The word God, what is God? God is energy.
Yeah.
You know? So in my opinion, we're just talking about semantics.
That's kind of what I felt like too.
It's what we gathered towards the end of it.
Yeah. I think we're
believe.
Saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're just saying it differently.
Yeah.
That is
and that's fine.
You know, I'll tell you of something funny.
Please.
When I pray.
Let me paint the picture of our trip to the Windsor Boutique Hotel in Asheville, North Carolina. It's dark, it's storming, we're lost, no clue where we're going, but all of a sudden, the beautiful building is right in front of us. Stop that. We're greeted by a gentleman. He comes outside with us, gets all of our bags, brings them in all the way upstairs. It was fantastic.
Each suite has its own unique vibe. They were able to strike a perfect balance between luxury, but still keeping it cozy and homey. But what I loved most about the Windsor Boutique Hotel, as a small business owner myself, I loved that they locally source everything in the room. Chocolates, coffee, soaps, all from local businesses in Asheville.
And don't forget to say hi to Penny.
The dog?
Yes, the dog.
So the next time that you're in Asheville, definitely book your stay at the Windsor Boutique Hotel.
Mention Skirts Up, and they will take care of you like they did us. just like family. Skirts up.
I'm so inclusive that I have to laugh at myself about this because I think, am I praying to God? Am I praying to,
Allah?
who am I praying to, right?
Yeah.
And so I came up with this, like, for a while anytime I was kind of setting an intention to the universe or voicing my gratitude, I would list off all these different, thank you, God, universe, universal source energy, angels, spirit guides, loved ones, ancestors, thank you all.
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
And so I would say this, and in fact, I've said it so many times, thank you all, thank you all, thank you all. I finally reached a point where these days I say, y'all, my heavenly y'all, right?
That's really cute.
You've evolved.
Yes.
Oh my God, no, I'm so glad you said that because I feel like sometimes we feel this urge to be thankful and just put off this energy. But I don't think I believe in a God and I don't think I believe in a heaven. And so who am I doing that to when I feel
Right.
inclined to? And so it's nice to be well,
I don't have to know.
Thank
I don't
you.
have to know whom I'm speaking to.
Thank you.
I can voice my gratitude
I love that.
regardless.
yeah.
Yes, I am also so glad that you brought up the actual word prayer because people say all to me, I'll be praying for you, and in their good old Southern, Southern charm, and I said, I will take all of the prayers that I am offered
Right.
because it's good intention.
What happens is the word prayer and the word God and all of these other key words become so emotionally charged
They do.
around divisive issues like which religion do you follow?
Right.
I have lost friends
Oh.
over their perception of what is the right religion to follow. And it does not matter to some people how honest and genuine and intentional I am about making a positive difference in the world, because some people are going to be stuck in semantics and the dogma that they have grown up with.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I'm not going to diss that. I'm not going to talk down about it. It hurts and it's sad that I've lost relationships with people I truly value.
Absolutely.
But I also do want to give credit that in some cases, religion has been a very valuable tool that has really helped a lot of people, even those with the very strict dogma.
Yep.
Now, we certainly know that
agree.
the reverse happens, where there's been a lot of loss and abuse and negative things that have happened in the name of religion. But we can also acknowledge that a lot of people have found strength that they truly needed from going that route.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just say what works for you.
Thank you.
What serves
love
highest
that.
good.
I love that.
Serves the highest good. I love that. I always say we're all on our own journey and we're making the journey that we're meant to make. And I love that you said the highest good, though, because if we can keep that in mind, too, that will help us think outside ourselves, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So just to keep us on time, we sat down with Kelly and she did a combo reading, a psychic medium reading for both Melissa and I.
Yeah.
And that was an experience. And before we go into talking about that, I am curious on how you compartmentalize what you're feeling and seeing, and how does it not take over your whole life?
Well, that goes back to the psychic basics that I was referring to.
Okay.
Being grounded, setting up protection, knowing how to do cleansing and setting your boundaries. You heard me open and close the session when I did the mediumship work with those key phrases that I say when I'm opening and closing a session. But in general, I also do a very specific protection thought or exercise, if you will. And that is every day, whether I'm doing my daily meditation or I'm about to do some psychic work, or anytime I'm facing something that might be a challenge, I will envision a bubble of white light, a divine bubble around me. And then I say or think the words, I surround myself in divine white light, encompassing universal love, joy, healing, and protection.
That is beautiful.
I freely radiate universal love to others while allowing myself to be affected only by positive thoughts, feelings, and emotions. With ease and grace, this or something better. Thank you.
So this may not be what you're saying, but are you saying that you can kind of like, I don't want to give away what we're talking about.
Why?
Never, I don't want to
Just give it away.
Yeah. So
That's what they're here for.
give it up already.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's got to be so challenging. I mean, when we're talking mediums, we're talking about spirits, people who have passed. So is that kind of how you can protect yourself from being involved in all the emotions that we were feeling?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I didn't give it away.
I wouldn't say that I don't feel the emotions. I mean, I definitely, you're right. I think that compartmentalize language makes the most sense because I sort of feel things as they pass through, but I also just remain focused. I think just as being a professional, to remain
Interesting.
focused on this is what I need to convey. Like, we could all sit around and cry together.
Right.
And that's fine.
Sure.
Maybe later over a glass of wine,
Yeah.
right? But will that serve the purpose, right?
Okay.
And my purpose is to bring through your loved ones in a way where it's evidential, where you know it's your loved ones, and where it's cathartic and healing.
Yeah.
Because I want everyone to leave my sessions with a sense of inner peace or inspiration.
Right.
Yes.
I love that she said, I love that you said, because you're sitting right here. I love how you said you let the emotions pass through you, because I think that's something we all need to kind of like, I don't know. I struggle with it in my daily
Hold on
life.
to it.
Yes. And I think that is a very important step of
Even the ones that aren't ours.
healing. Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
We do like to feel others' emotions if we're empaths. But I do think a very important step of healing is being able to feel the emotion and accept it and then let it pass on. And so I really liked that you kind of brought that point up, even though...
Well, that's a very strong point for anybody's healing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you may be going through a rough time and people may be telling you, don't be sad. Well, that's not necessarily accurate.
Exactly.
We are spiritual beings living in physical bodies for the purpose of having the human experience. Well, being sad, going through difficult things, that is part of the human experience. But what we need to do in order to be the best functioning versions of ourselves possible is to allow those feelings to flow in, feel them, and flow out.
I was going to say the same thing.
So that you don't get stuck.
So you said at the beginning of our session to Sam, she sensed that you were very emotional and a very sensitive being. And she told you, if you get emotional, it's okay. And did that give you a feeling of, okay, I have permission. I can, you weren't expecting to maybe shed a tear.
Oh, no, I was not. You guys weren't expecting to hear that either.
Why? That's okay. They know we had a session. We're gonna
talk
go about
into it.
Yeah.
So we split it up into
mini psychic readings.
Yes, that's what she said. And we started with me. Melissa put me in the hot seat, and and that part was really neat.
We pulled 3 tarot cards for you because it was a mini reading, so I didn't do a full spread since we split it between the 2 of you. But when I'm doing a psychic reading, I use a combination of reading the tarot cards and just tuning in directly to the energies. So first I told you what I was getting from the energy. Then I read 3 cards for you, and then I answered questions for you.
Yes. And when we were talking about it, for me, it validated the love that I'm feeling and my marriage and what we're doing with the podcast and that we're in the right direction and that love of life, because that's new for me.
Oh, yes, you did say that.
I did say that.
Oh, that makes my heart sad but happy.
But so happy. It was really cool to hear.
Yeah.
And so all the 3 things that were in my brain before we started talking, Kelly brought up and was able to bring some sort of acknowledgement to it. And that was just wild to me.
Mm,
Do you want to share about your card reading before we go into the medium
sure.
side of it?
Yeah. So, I can't remember all my cards. I think it was 6 of water. I know it was the Hermit and the Magician.
That's what it was.
And it just kind of reminded, I mean, yeah, of course. I don't want to sound like a skeptic, but obviously those cards are good cards and can be applied to anything that I want.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
they were beautiful and I needed them and they uplifted me. And so I don't really care, because I have friends who are like, oh, you're going to talk with a psychic medium.
Mhm.
That's not real anyway.
Mhm.
Right? Of course. You've heard it
Sure.
all.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not offending you, I hope.
Oh,
Try
harder.
Right? Exactly. Okay. So, but what I wanted to say was, does it matter? Like, if you come out of the session feeling a better person and having learned something about yourself, is that not the point?
Well, we could probably spend a whole hour just talking about the philosophical implications.
So that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm. And so, especially when it comes to mediumship, what are the implications
Okay.
of if I'm not actually speaking to your loved ones, but I'm saying that I am, but if you're feeling good about it, is that, that we could definitely talk about the implications.
Yeah.
of
Dinner
that.
talk.
Yeah, right? But I just think that with any psychic reading or mediumship reading, people should go into it with an open mind, but also some caution. I know that I am well-intentioned. I know that I regularly pick up on things that are strongly evidential, but there's no way for you to know for sure.
Right.
And so there are definitely con artists out there, There, unfortunately, I hate it, but this industry
In any field,
does
really,
have
but
any field, but in particular,
Yeah.
this industry is known for having a lot of charlatans in it. So I would say anytime you go for a reading, you want to go in with a bit of caution, but also just an open mind so that whatever information comes up, you can say, first of all, does this resonate with me? And second of all, does it benefit me to know this? Does this feel right? And even the very best psychics and mediums are not going to be accurate 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. We're tuning into the energy. Energy ebbs and flows. If we could consistently duplicate 100% all the time, then it would be published in the scientific journals.
Yeah. And I think
Thanks
that's
for sharing that. That's
pretty much what I wanted to get at for my experience. I felt like,
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
oh, thank you.
I really am.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
that is like a general thought.
But that is how I would describe my experience.
Mhm.
I felt like I got good out of it. I felt like it was well-intentioned.
Validated.
And it was, it gave me food for thought to be a better person
Mhm.
and to work on myself.
Mhm.
And I loved every second of my reading
Oh,
So thank you.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad to hear that.
very much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
how
a
did-
lot of times I hear people say that it's like a mirror.
Yes, I
I'm
see that.
holding up a mirror to
Okay.
give you a reflection and validation of what you're already feeling. So many times that's the case. Now, that's not to say that I don't surprise people once in a while with, if you did this, oh my God, I never thought of that, right? So it
Yeah.
does happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's just sort of bringing things out in you that you already sort of knew, but you needed to hear it.
And I would say that exactly happened during our reading together.
Yeah.
Very specifically,
Yeah.
in my opinion, to me.
What I love, though, is when I then throw in the surprises like people's exact names.
I botched that. So we did a
Oh.
medium.
We did.
What do you call it? A
Mediumship reading.
ship reading
Mhm.
after our mini personal readings.
We both failed and said the names.
We accidentally both did, but she got letters. She had
Oh man, it was amazing. So Melissa and I went into
explain.
this both thinking
The setup.
no one's going to be here for us. Like we don't like there's no one we would want to talk to. Like this will be interesting. And so we had no expectations. We didn't know what to expect. And so of course, I know I have grandparents that have passed, and so it was really interesting to get validation that they were here and communicating messages. But what happened next? Remember when I was talking about my bird?
Yes.
My cardinal?
Yes.
Yes.
In one of the first few episodes.
Yep. That was following me around for 8 months. Very everywhere.
Had you mentioned anything about a cardinal at all to Kelly?
I had not. She knew nothing about my bird.
Now,
she heard
I'd
the
like
episode.
to interject. Exactly.
Okay.
I'd like to interject that if you did an episode about it, then obviously it's out there.
See,
So
she's
I
already
could-
honest.
I could have, right? And so, but the thing is, like, people wonder about, do psychic mediums research their clients ahead of time? And obviously I had opportunity to research the two of you ahead of time. But for people who are concerned about that, I like people to know, I don't mind if you have a friend book an appointment for you. So I won't even have the person's name until they show up for the reading.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sharing that with my friend who is a skeptic.
So what happened when we were talking about the bird, though, is you were picking up on a spirit. And you were like, someone's got someone with a C. Someone's got, and you're naming off things. And Melissa and I are just looking at each other like, I don't know who that would be. Like, not a clue. And then somehow it came up, and I can't remember exactly how it came up. I gave that bird a name. And that name that I gave that bird was Cameron, because no one knows this except for 2 people in like the whole world. I had a miscarriage with Andrew, and I had a miscarriage before Amelia. And I felt like it was a girl, and I named her Cameron. And when I saw that bird, I associated it as Cameron. And Kelly was able to be like, okay, there's a C, there's a bird, it's a cardinal, it's a girl. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, we both just kind of were like looking at each other.
Yes.
Like we knew and we felt it too. Like, I don't know. It wasn't even just like shock, but it was like a feeling. Like I felt like, oh my gosh, there's something big happening here.
Yeah. I did not expect that. So that was
Good.
really amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So yeah, so tell me, okay, since we started talking about the mediumship reading, we only have a couple more minutes, but my dog came through.
Yes.
Okay, before I came, I said to Jacob, if I can talk to Waverly, then I'll be happy. And we were getting a few things coming through. And then Kelly, you were so nice. And you said, is there anybody that you're hoping to connect with? And I was like, yeah, there is actually. And you were able to share information about her and our relationship. And that made me know that she loved me. And my heart was overflowing. So that was such an amazing experience for me too.
My favorite part of that experience was that Kelly was able to tell you
The medium dog that's golden.
that you guys were on the same level and that you had a conversation.
Yes.
She recalled the conversation.
Yes. Yes. So maybe we'll do an episode on this in the future, but I do believe in animal communication. And I believe, like you said, there can be con artists in every field, and sure there are in that field too. But in my experience, it is possible to communicate with animals. And Waverly and I used to be able to communicate conversations.
You've said that to me multiple times. Yeah.
And we did. We had a conversation
That.
a couple times before she passed. I had to keep asking her, are you ready? Am I holding on too long? And she would say, no, it's not time. You're fine. You're fine. But finally it was like, she told me that she felt like she was sticking around because I needed her. And I said, I don't want you to do that. So you were able to.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
She recounted that memory.
She did.
That's beautiful.
It was beautiful.
And I will say, Melissa was testing you with that. She was like, I'm not
wasn't
going to ask her if she can pick up on animal spirits.
Fine, I did a little.
I'm not going.
Well, she's like, well, you should ask her if she can do pet. And I was like, well, If
Yeah.
she can, she can. If she can't, she can't.
Right.
But
That's come through fairly regularly for me. I love
that's
animals.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So it was, I don't know. All I can say is thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it was a pleasure and an honor.
I say this every episode, I swear, but this is like my favorite conversation.
Yeah.
Like, this was so good. This was so fun.
We are very blessed that we get to have so many good conversations. Is there anything that you would like to get out to the public that you wish that was said that wasn't?
How can they find you?
And that too.
Yes. I am definitely available for readings. So I do both psychic readings and mediumship readings as a combo and also separately if you want just one or the other. I do psychic development mentorship services. So lots of different services that I offer. They're all listed on my website. So channelingwhitelight.com.
I almost brought that up earlier when you were repeating your prayer of white light.
Oh, yeah.
I almost said, that's your website.
Right, about surround myself with divine white light.
Thank you.
And that's my protection. But my tagline is I'm channeling white light towards a better world.
Oh, gosh.
So that's because I'm very passionate about making a difference in the world.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I actually have a little meditation that I do just privately where I ask for spirit. I say, wherever there will be the greatest benefit, please use me to channel white light in a way that serves highest good.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful.
It is
Yeah.
beautiful.
So I do the readings both remotely and in person.
I'm so glad you
So
said
for
that.
clients all over
It
the
slipped
world.
my mind. I was about to ask,
Mhm.
and then what you said was so beautiful. So yes, you do remote
Yep,
readings.
phone by phone and video call.
Okay.
But the Windsor in Asheville is gorgeous, and it happens to be where Kelly lives.
I,
She doesn't live at the Windsor.
I don't live at the Windsor,
Thank you for clarifying. That was
but not very far away.
no, she's not a squalor in the Windsor Hotel.
A squatter. The
All
Windsor
right.
Boutique Hotel.
Right.
So yes, we that is where you could come and meet her too, like we did. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. I'd love to chat again.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And we'll have to follow up. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to
Rate and review.
You got more singing from us. You're welcome. Check out Kelly. Look her up on her website. This was really so cool. I'm glad we did it, and I'll probably do it again.
It was so uplifting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, and I could say life-changing because of how uplifting it was, right?
Whoa. We're getting aggressive. I'm just kidding. I loved it so much.
It's inspirational. How about that?
It was inspirational.
Which
Yes.
can be life-changing.
Food for thought, and that's what we like.
So,
Aw.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. If you liked what you heard today, hit that like button or the subscribe button or whatever button it is that you have.
Just hit it. To continue this conversation with us, join the Skirts Up Show on what is it again?
Well, we have Facebook, we have YouTube,
And Pinterest.
and no, we do not have a Pinterest, but we have Instagram.
You knew what I meant.
I did. So, rate and review.
Rate and review.